Right now, somewhere in the middle of the ocean, there is a man responsible for a ship longer than the Eiffel Tower is tall, carrying cargo worth more than some countries' annual budgets, with the nearest hospital a 5-day sail away. He is the captain. He is 58 years old. He hasn't seen a doctor in 7 months. His blood pressure was high the last time anyone checked, but nobody checked again. And the crew of 22 people beneath him has no idea that the dull ache in his chest is not indigestion. This is the story of what happens when the one person who holds a ship together stops breathing, hundreds of kilometers from land, in a world where there is no 911 and no replacement. First, let's understand what a captain actually is on a cargo vessel. On land, a CEO can step out for a week and the company survives. On a ship, the captain is not just a manager. He is the legal authority. Under maritime law, the master of a vessel holds powers that no other civilian job on Earth carries. He can perform arrests. He can authorize medical procedures. He can decide to change course, enter foreign waters, or refuse port orders. His signature is the ship's signature. When that person dies, what disappears is not just leadership. It's the legal identity of a floating city. So, minute 1. The captain collapses. Maybe on the bridge during a night watch. Maybe in his cabin at 3 in the morning. The first person to find him is almost never a doctor, because most cargo ships don't carry one. The medical officer on a typical merchant vessel is the chief mate, a navigation officer who took a 3-week first aid course years ago and has a medicine chest with a manual. He checks for a pulse. There is none. He starts CPR, follows the steps on a laminated card, and reaches for the radio. This is where a system most people don't know about kicks in. It's called TMAS, Telemedical Maritime Assistance Service. Nearly every flag state requires ships to have access to a shore-based doctor by satellite phone or radio 24 hours a day, anywhere on the planet. The chief mate describes the situation, reads vital signs if there are any, describes the color of the skin, the position of the body, the last known complaints. The doctor on the other end of the line, sitting in a hospital in Rome or Baltimore or Gothenburg, walks him through protocols step by step, the way air traffic control talks a passenger through landing a plane. But when the patient is already dead, the advice shifts quickly from medicine to procedure, and the tone on the line changes. The body must be preserved. On a cargo ship in the tropics, with no morgue and no embalming equipment, this is a brutal, practical problem. Some ships carry body bags. Many don't. The standard solution, the one written in seamanship manuals for over a century, is to move the body to the ship's cold storage, the same freezer that holds the crew's food. If the voyage is long and the nearest port is days away, the captain's body will lie beside frozen chicken and vegetables in a walk-in cooler at minus 18 degrees. There is no dignity protocol, no chaplain, no funeral director. The crew handles everything, and they carry that experience for the rest of their lives. Now the chain of command. Maritime law is old, and it anticipated this scenario centuries ago. The moment a captain dies, the chief officer, also called the first mate, assumes command automatically. There is no vote, no phone call to headquarters for permission, no waiting for instructions. The transfer is immediate and absolute. The chief officer becomes the acting master and inherits every legal power the captain held. He can navigate, dock, sign documents, and make life or death decisions for the entire crew. But here's the part nobody talks about. The chief officer was trained to be a chief officer, not a captain. On paper, the qualifications overlap. In practice, the gap can be enormous. A captain has usually spent years in command, developing the instinct to balance company pressure against crew safety, weather risk against schedule, port authority politics against the realities of a ship that's burning fuel at $40,000 a day. The chief mate may be technically competent and still completely unprepared for the psychological weight of command. And he takes over not in a calm harbor, but in the middle of an ocean, with a dead man in the freezer and a crew that is shaken, grieving, and looking at him for answers he may not have. The shipping company is notified immediately. So is the flag state, the country where the ship is registered. In most cases, the company arranges for a replacement captain to board at the next port of call. But the next port might be 10 days away. In those 10 days, the acting master must run the ship, manage a crew in shock, handle every piece of paperwork, maintain course, and deal with something rarely mentioned in the manuals: superstition. Sailors are among the most superstitious professionals on Earth. A death on board, especially the captain's death, is considered by many crews to be an omen. Morale doesn't just dip, it can collapse. The acting master has to hold the human fabric of the ship together while processing his own shock, often with zero mental health support. And then there's the paperwork. When a captain dies at sea, it triggers an avalanche of bureaucracy that most people would find astonishing. The death must be logged in the ship's official logbook with the exact time, position, and circumstances. A report must be filed with the flag state. The coastal state nearest to the position may also need to be notified. If foul play is even remotely suspected, the ship may be ordered to divert to the nearest port for investigation. The body becomes evidence, the cabin becomes a scene, and the entire crew becomes potential witnesses in a jurisdiction they may not even understand. Because maritime law can involve the flag state, the port state, the nationality of the deceased, and the nationality of the crew, sometimes 4 or 5 different legal systems arguing over a single death on a single ship. How often does this happen? More than you would think. The International Maritime Organization does not publish a neat annual count of captain deaths at sea, but studies of seafarer mortality paint a picture that should alarm anyone. Cardiovascular disease is the leading natural cause of death among merchant sailors. The lifestyle is a cardiologist's nightmare. Long hours, irregular sleep, high stress, limited exercise, and a diet built around whatever the ship's cook can make from bulk supplies and frozen stores. One widely cited European study found that the mortality rate for merchant seafarers was significantly higher than for the general working population. Captains, who tend to be older and carry more stress, sit at the sharp end of that curve. And it's not only natural causes. Falls, accidents with heavy equipment, crush injuries during cargo operations. All of these can kill a captain just as suddenly. In rare cases, there are stranger scenarios. Piracy in the Gulf of Aden or the Gulf of Guinea. A captain wounded during a boarding. A captain who goes overboard at night and is simply never found, leaving the crew to discover an empty bridge at dawn. Each of these triggers the same chain of command, but with a very different emotional weight. There is one more detail that stays with crews long after the voyage ends. When a captain dies at sea and the ship is weeks from the home port, the family may not see the body for a month or more. The spouse gets a satellite phone call in the middle of the night, a voice she doesn't recognize telling her something she can't fully process. Then waits while the ship crawls toward port, the funeral delayed, the grief frozen in place, as literally as the body in the cold storage below deck. For the crew, meanwhile, life doesn't pause. The cargo still has a delivery window. The charter still costs money by the hour. The ocean doesn't care that the bridge is quieter than it used to be. The ship sails on, because the ship always sails on. The sea has never been sentimental, and the systems built around it reflect that. A captain dies, a mate steps up, the paperwork moves, and $1 billion of cargo keeps drifting toward its destination on schedule. The whole machine is designed so that no single death can stop it. And that efficiency, that cold reliability, is either the most reassuring or the most unsettling thing about the industry, depending on how you look at it. But a captain dying isn't even the most legally bizarre thing that can happen, in a place where jurisdiction gets blurry. On land, there is a line drawn on a map between two countries, and sometimes a crime happens right on top of it. A body found with one hand in one nation and the other hand in another. Two legal systems, two police forces, two sets of laws, and a single question nobody can answer cleanly. Whose crime is this? That story's next. And if you don't want to miss it, you know what to do.